Hi Jimmy, how are you? It's Cody here, and with Kimberly here as well. And this is your tiny home. Jimmy's the one who's invited me here today to Polka Dot to check out the event and show the world. So I hope I'm doing a good job here. But yes, there's amazing things happening. It's been a great day, and can you give us a recap of what you're trying to do here and what's been done?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is an event where we invite and had a lot of amazing talks today about all aspects of tiny housing, eco-villages and sustainable community living principles, from peer-to-peer economies and blockchain all the way through to how to build a tiny house, legalities of where you can put a tiny house, and eco-villages, like how can we build eco-villages that function, what's our current thinking. The point of the event is actually getting people together. So where we are outside here, which had several people in it before, it's them getting together and actually talking, collaborating and networking, cross-pollinating their ideas and finding that there are other people in the room who also have the same ideas they do, and in the hope that we can break down the silos and actually get people to connect to each other, which is what they love to do, and then start working with each other to do more solutions, more things in whatever regard, being spiritual or engineering wise or environmental, towards, again, the principles of sustainable community living.
Hi Neil, how are you? I'm Cody Fraser, and we're here in a beautiful little tiny home from Evolution Tiny Homes up here on the coast. So Neil, how are you?
Hi Cody, thank you, pleased to meet you, and thanks for coming through today.
Yeah, of course. So tell me about what you do and what are we standing in right now?
Well, this is the Evolution Tiny Home that we've built here. It's one of our first models. I'm originally an electrician by trade and also a carpenter. So having been in the construction industry for 22 years and eventually seeing a pretty big gap in the market, having lived across the world 15 years in England and Europe, and being in the United States, seeing there's a pretty big demand for affordable housing, and especially in the mobile housing, so that we're not tied down to the land and the cost of land as much.
This is one of your designs and one of your constructions?
Yeah, I've also worked in tandem with Tiny Real Estate in WA. So therefore we've got a lot of set of plans together, and which is already pre-engineered, and then also allows you for doing minimal changes to them, as that's one of the high costs, is getting drawings set up, getting it engineered.
That's what it's all about, and it's not just a small movement anymore, is it? It's global. Australia's probably a little bit behind too, isn't it?
Yes and no. I mean, we just had Bryce Langston from the YouTube channel Living Big in a Tiny House, and he was saying that when he started doing his videos, they got instant fame with the Americans because New Zealanders are quite thrifty and clever, and they got to work with less, and they can make a lot of use out of something less. And so all the designs of tiny houses are actually getting a lot of popularity in America, and they're getting a lot of hits because New Zealanders and Australians are innovating great ideas that the Americans probably didn't think about. And again, it's cross-pollination. But there's a lot of innovation always happening in Australia and New Zealand, for example, and probably we undersell ourselves. But in terms of the broader public movement that's mainstream acceptance, most definitely always overseas leads the way. And then down here, we tend to follow after they've tested it, and we'll get it done better.
Okay, I'm here with Fabio. How are you, Fabio?
Good, thank you.
Fabio's from Aussie Tiny Houses, and we're standing in one of their beautiful designs here today. So Fabio, tell me about what we're standing here in right now.
Well, pretty much this is our Mooloolaba 7.2. This is one of our flagship models. But nowadays we've got more than between 10 to 15 models available. We can do custom designs. Most of our designs can be fully customizable as well. But pretty much this is one of our sort of flagships and one of the most popular designs, just because of the open plan and the fact that it basically doesn't feel a tiny house at all. But yeah, so we are builders from Aussie Tiny Houses. We're based in Coolum Beach in the Sunshine Coast. So yes, even feel free to come and visit us if there's a chance.
Yeah, beautiful.
Quite a few other models and different layouts, and pretty much we sort of try and catering for a bit of everyone, from young couples all the way into older people downsizing, and even families as well. So we've got layouts to sort of suit almost everyone.
So we've got the movement, we've got things happening here, and what do we need to happen next in regards to, I guess, legalities and politically, or is there anything that needs to be done now to actually change things to move forward properly? Or
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for example, in the Noosa region, and the Noosa Council is currently reviewing their plan as to how they arrange how people can live and use land in the area, and that comes down from state government. So this has come at an interesting time, not deliberately, to help stir the waters to get people to think about what they'd like to do with the next decade of what their region could be and what its potential or what potential can be unlocked. It doesn't always have to be resuming more land. It could be actually using less land and living more effectively and efficiently in a tiny house. But it does, at the moment, there's a bit of a stalemate with planners, with government, and legislation, and people having clarity and security that if they do go ahead and spend, $80,000 to $100,000 building their new dream house, that the council doesn't send a Gestapo around to hang them. Because they invented a law to stop it from happening for whatever reason. So people are looking for the certainty. Once that happens, I think the builders are quite confident that the adoption of these tiny houses will go through the roof, and there'll be not enough people to build them. And that's the dangers, of course, is that when people do decide this is a great way to live, they can see people like us doing it. We don't want to see unsafe tiny houses being built, particularly by self-builders, because you're building a different sort of house, and it's a house built stronger than a house. So it takes a lot of engineering appreciation, and we want to see people have sovereignty over their accommodation, but also sensibility and practicality as well. So those are the things that we want to try and stem in the bud before they become a problem, because we don't want to see people falling over in their tiny houses. But we would like to see them in more tiny houses.
I'm here with Paul Brandenburg from Bespoke Habitats. How are you, Paul?
Good, thanks.
Good. Now, Paul, seeing your speech today is very entertaining. A lot of information, and obviously from your background in the building space, a lot of people are intrigued what you had to say, and a lot of structural stuff, a lot of legal stuff, a lot of, building codes and that sort of thing. And I guess that's where it's going at the moment, isn't it, with this sort of tiny home movement, is it?
Yeah, there's a big divide between the traditional house and the building code and where tiny houses came from or move into, but at some point in time they will merge, and there will be a special code for the tiny houses to ensure that we have safe buildings and they work. So it's just a matter of time as the movement moves on.
Fair enough. And, we're here standing in one of your designs, right? And this is from a container?
This is built from a shipping container, a 20-foot container. It's a brand new container. We generally only use brand new containers because of the integrity of the container. Also, we know what's been in it, and some of them have had chemicals in them, and we don't want people living in containers that had chemicals in them. So we have the containers actually built for us overseas, and then they get upcycled after they've taken one load to Australia. We see the manifest, we approve the manifest, and then that gets offloaded and the empty box comes to us and we convert it in Australia to this, what you see here today.
Yeah, indeed. And I guess one more thing to consider is, everything's pretty much supply and demand, right? So right now there's builders here now doing these things, doing custom designs, everything else. Moving forward, that will be a pricey event, I'd say, whereas you might have more modular systems, whatever else, but particularly the custom designs, now's probably not a bad time to act, I suppose. So,
Time for experimentation.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So if you're interested, obviously Jimmy here's a good man to speak to, and he's doing a lot of good things up here on the coast. So thanks a lot for your time, Jimmy, and thanks for inviting me to this beautiful event.
Thank you very much for covering it as well in 360 degrees.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
That's it. Thank you.